Hey guys, how are you? I'm gonna let everyone kind of log on here. We are using a different method today. It's called punt. A piece of our equipment broke down, so we're gonna just go live on my cell phones, okay? So I can communicate, and so when you call in, you'll be able to call in, and we'll take the questions. Karen's gonna give me the questions, and I'll answer the questions. Of course, you can also type in your questions right now. So, um, yeah, so if you can hear me, uh, just post, I can hear you. That would be great. Okay, good. So, hello, Elizabeth. Yvonne is here. Lorraine is in the house. Margaret is here. That's awesome. And I'm assuming YouTube is also working here. So, give me a shout out if there's any YouTube guys. Let's see here. We go here. So, oh, and anything that I recommend is not meant to diagnose you or replace your medical treatment. It's just meant to give you education so you can do further research, okay? All right, so Michelle had a question. Is keto bad for people that have stomach surgery? Like in gastric bypass or not? Actually, I think it's really, really good. The combination between keto and intermittent fasting is what you need to do for stomach surgery, because you not eating so frequent is going to take a lot of stress off that tissue. So anything surgery-wise, you need to do intermittent fasting as a healing thing. So that's going to be really important. All right, so all right, Karen, is it how do we look on YouTube? I just
Okay,
have attention on that.
that's okay. We're just pulling YouTube up now.
Okay.
But I have a caller. Do you want to call
Yes, I do want to call her.
it? Okay, great. Well, we have Ruth from Texas.
Hey, Ruth from Texas.
Yeah, and she says her 76-year-old mother has lost weight with keto.
76-year-old mother lost weight with keto.
But she doesn't want the loose skin. Should she eat more?
For some reason, she doesn't want all that loose, flabby skin, so she's wanting to know, should she eat more?
And life is renewed, but she feels too thin. And how can she stay in autophagy?
Okay, so she feels too thin. How does she stay in that mode where she's building up her connective tissue? Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem with doing keto. You may lose too much weight. So in that case, you're going to have to increase your fats, okay? Increase your fats, not start increasing your protein or carbs. Increase more fat, have big meals. Probably don't go lower than 2 meals a day. Like don't go to 1 meal a day. Just go to 2 meals a day and spread them out a little bit further and have bigger meals. Now, another thing with the loose skin is that if it's in the lower belly, I did a video recently on that lower belly pooch that you can do reverse sit-ups. So watch that, because you're standing and you're going back, stretching your abdomen to really tighten up that loose skin in the lower part. So that's definitely something that you can do. And then the other thing that you can do is basically make sure you don't snack, because intermittent fasting is the main thing that's going to tighten the skin. So I just want to ask Steve for a second. Are you sure that YouTube is on my channel? Because I don't see
I don't either.
anyone subscribed.
Interesting. Let's see.
Yeah. So what I'm going to try, Steve, is I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try this, because I think this is not working.
Alrighty, let's see.
Allow camera. Live stream. There we go. Next.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Go live. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
What?
They're just hanging out while we're sorting things out.
Oh, okay, so I'm
So
live.
Yeah.
So,
Take this down.
well, let's just see, for example, because I want to know on YouTube if you guys can see me and if it's working. So go ahead and let me know. I know Facebook, thanks for your patience. We just want to get this YouTube thing going. And let's see.
I can't see the comments.
Hello. How about that? So it may take a couple seconds to get this working. You see that really nice thing in the top of my ceiling there, all those cords hanging out. That looks wonderful. So,
okay, I have a question from Donna.
okay, we have a question from Donna.
Yes, how much cheese can you eat a day? Should you eat low-fat or full-fat cheese?
Donna wants to know, how much cheese can you eat per day in ounces or pounds? And then what was the last part?
Should it be low-fat or
Should it be low fat or high fat? Okay, so the thing about cheese, especially if you're not living in Wisconsin, is that you want to not overdo it with the cheese. Cheese is sometimes constipating, so that could be an issue. So I personally would recommend probably 3 to 4 ounces with a meal. You can do that twice a day and you should be fine. Now, don't do the low-fat cheese. Do higher cheese, higher amounts of cheese because, I'm sorry, high-fat cheese, like brie cheese, because that's gonna slow down the glycemic index. When you do lean, low-fat cheese, you're gonna stimulate insulin, and that's not good. So that is the problem. And I'm looking at Facebook and doesn't seem to be anyone can see me. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube.
yeah,
So for some reason,
we apologize. YouTube, hop onto Facebook.
yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Let's type in.
I wonder if our other show overrode it. Let me go get rid of that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
another
we're gonna look at that.
question.
All right, give me another question, Karen.
Okay, Stephen from Florida.
Stephen, you're from Florida. You had a question.
Yes, if taking the adrenal cortisol relief supplement is okay with the nutritional yeast.
So-
Both have vitamin B. Also, why can't I take them before
One
bed?
question at a time.
Okay.
So if Steve wants to know, it's a product called adrenal relief and cortisol relief. Okay, so that's a product I have. He wanted to know, can you take that with nutritional yeast? Because will they cross over? Because they both have nutritional yeast. Well, here's the thing: the cortisol relief formula has nutritional yeast, and it's pretty. It's not nearly the amounts, the quantity of regular nutritional yeast. So it's good for stress, but if you're looking more for adapting to keto and you want the full B complex and B12, it might be better just to do the nutritional yeast. But the other one's specific for stress because it also has herbal stuff for stress, and it targets more the adrenal than just the B vitamins. Okay, Karen?
Okay, good.
All right.
You want
Good.
another one?
I want another question.
Okay, good. Well, someone has an issue with chronic blushing and was told to go down to 1 meal a day and continue adrenal massaging and supplements. There hasn't been any change and not losing weight.
All right, Karen, can you ask me that a little bit like in a condensed version? It's kind of a long question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Problem with chronic blushing,
Chronic blushing,
eating 1 meal a day,
1 meal a day.
but no change in the blushing or weight.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about rosacea or blushing, there's a difference. If it's an increased flushing of your face that occurs just randomly and it's not there permanently, that is a problem with your nervous system. It's part of the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system has 2 parts, the flight or fight and the recovery and rest, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So in that case, you need to support the adrenal maybe with more nutrition, and it could take a lot longer. You'd benefit to take the adrenal supplements in addition to using the massage tool to do the stress. And recently I did a webinar on how to use that and how to take stress out of your body. You should probably watch that. But now let's say you're blushing or the redness in the face is it's permanently there. It's like a constant thing. They call that rosacea. That could be coming from a vitamin C deficiency. Now, either you're not consuming enough vegetables, or you are your digestive system or stomach isn't working enough to absorb the vitamin C. You actually need good stomach acid to absorb vitamin C, and you also need good friendly bacteria to absorb vitamin C. That could be one reason. And last reason is that if you're insulin resistant, you won't be able to absorb vitamin C either. So that could be a big problem. Okay? So good question too. And we have a million questions here. I'm going to ask Steve, can you comment on my YouTube from your end over there and see if it shows up? Because I think it's working, but I can't prove it.
But I see one viewer.
Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, we have Janet, who says she's starving when she wakes up in the morning. Intermittent fasting is hard to start.
Okay, Janet is starving in the morning, and she says that intermittent fasting is very hard to implement.
Can she do it from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
Can she do it from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m.?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. Now, here's the thing. I recently did a video. I can't remember if I released it or not. I may have not. I don't remember. But here's the point. Some of you need to adjust the pattern around your lifestyle. So let's say, for example, you need a lot of your energy in the morning and the mid-afternoon versus at night. You may want to just eat at 8 a.m. and then eat again at 12 or even 2. So you start off your intermittent fasting and then you fast from 12 or 2 all the way to 8 o'clock in the morning. There's 2 reasons for that. Number one, your stomach is mostly acidic at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's ready to digest all this protein. Versus late at night, if you're going to eat a big meal, it's harder to sleep on a large fatty meal or a protein meal. So you might want to play around with the frequency, but yeah, it doesn't really matter when you eat as much as the pattern too. I would fit the pattern into your lifestyle, what would work better. If you find that, especially when you're adapting, you're tired in the morning because you're not eating until 12, eat and then just don't eat at night when you're trying to wind down. So that might work. And gosh, I think I released that video, but I'm going to double check. So if I didn't, I'll release it really quick. Looks like it says, please Karen comment, I have alopecia. Okay, I'll answer that in a second.
And Doc, tell YouTube this is on private, so we're going to end the stream and come back up and see if we can do it.
Okay, yeah, just go ahead and end it. We're going to end the stream on YouTube and come back up. So we'll work on that. All right. Okay. So alopecia. Okay, that's where you have this hair loss in different places. It's called an autoimmune disease. And that usually comes after a stress event. It's really the adrenal being a problem, and the adrenals are producing an imbalance in your immune system because the adrenals control the white blood cell. So when you actually lose that control, your body develops antibodies against your own hair. The way to solve that is not with a remedy. The way to solve that is by going after really fixing the core health problem that you have, especially the adrenals. So I would recommend get on keto intermittent fasting, make sure all your nutrients there, and the biggest thing is do things to reduce stress, long walks. If there's some stressful thing in your life, you're gonna have to avoid that person or thing, and just because there's no way you're gonna heal from an autoimmune if you're constantly under stress. So you really wanna kind of have a stress-free life with putting in these basics. All right, Karen, do we have any questions coming in at all?
Yes, we have Giselle from Iowa.
Okay.
She gets a lot of cramps in her feet and calves and has a history of joint problems and patellofemoral and plantar fasciitis. How should she address this?
Well, when you have plantar fasciitis, a lot of people have plantar fasciitis and they don't really have plantar fasciitis because it's pain in the bottom of the feet. You know, especially if it's on the right side, it's going to be gallbladder. Don't ask me why. It's just going to be gallbladder, working the gallbladder, it'll go away. But the point is that you have inflammation. You need to do keto and intermittent fasting hardcore because that's going to be the best thing to reduce inflammatory conditions. Now, if you want to fix the plantar fasciitis part, what you want to do is you want to stretch the opposite side of the foot. If the pain is in the bottom, you stretch the top part of the foot. So when you, and I have a video on this, you can kneel so your feet are flat, so you're stretching your toes downward, not the calf, and that will really get rid of your plantar fasciitis, which I really like that word, plantar fasciitis. It's a cool word. Is it working?
I hope so.
Okay, I have a question.
Preview, there has to be something on the right. Yeah.
Facebook, Elliot is asking, what can be done for vertigo?
Vertigo. There's a great movie, Vertigo. Now, vertigo, dizziness. Vertigo is easier. Like, there's two reasons for that. Number one, if you stand up real fast and you get vertigo, that is classic adrenal.
Yes.
Because the adrenals cause your body to adapt to the position of movement quick, and the adrenals are weak. You can't push the blood flow up to your brain fast enough.
You're on that one.
All right, good. So I'm on which one?
On that one, there's your camera broadcast.
But is this working?
I think so, and I can switch it to live from here if it's not.
Okay, good.
Interrupting.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Just working out these fun little glitches. So if you get up fast and you're dizzy, that means it's adrenal, okay? So if you have, and in that case, what you want to do, hey, YouTube, we finally got you guys online. If you actually get up too fast and you have an adrenal issue, you can actually take your blood pressure, okay? Take your blood pressure lying down and then standing up. You have the top number and the bottom number. You have the systolic top number and the bottom number is the diastolic. If you have stand up, what will happen if you have vertigo, the blood pressure, the top number, drops down by 6 to 10 points. Normally it should go up. So you're gonna feel like, whoa, I'm feel dizzy just because of lack of blood flow. So that means the adrenals are low, they're weak. So you wanna support that. I would recommend using my sleep aid for the sleep because the sleep is the best thing and it's gonna put you into the delta wave sleep and start recovering the adrenals. In addition, you know, do the acupressure technique. It's on my webinar under stress. So you might wanna check that out. Good, so now we finally got some people on YouTube. And I'm just gonna click that there.
Okay, let me
And
see
so-
about calls here. Ready for a call?
Yeah, I'm ready for a call.
Okay, Gerardo from Los Angeles. He fasts 24 hours because he's not hungry.
Geraldo from Los Angeles. Gerardo.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically fasting for 24 hours
Because he's not hungry.
because he's not hungry.
He takes about 1,000 calories a day.
1,000 calories a day.
Basically, he's just wondering, should he force himself to eat more? He's lost 30 pounds. He's just wondering, should he be forcing himself to eat more?
This is a really good question, Karen. I was waiting for this question,
Okay.
and now you answered it.
I asked it.
Now you asked it.
Gerardo asked it.
Yes, that's right. So
Okay.
here's the thing. When you do keto and intermittent fasting, you're not going to be hungry. And you could probably go for a long period of time. And your body is just actually in this fat burning mode. If you have a lot of weight to lose, you may want to ride the wave and go ahead and keep going more than 24 hours. The only thing I would recommend is to take nutrition with that, whether it's electrolytes or nutritional yeast, just to get the electrolytes in there so you have some nutrients, but maybe not without the calorie. The reason for that is that your body's in a nice state of fat burning, you feel fine, you keep going, and maybe you'll be hungry the next day. But that is a problem, and you have to make a judgment call. If you are going into this with nutritional deficiencies and you go longer than 24 hours, we don't want you to feel dizzy because your electrolytes drop and you don't have enough fluids with the electrolytes. So it's a judgment call, but you know, it's really up to you. You might want to experiment and go for a little bit longer, but you don't have to necessarily eat that frequent. There are people that I know that do this, they eat every 48 hours and they feel fine from it. Especially when they spend all this time and work getting their body in the fat burning, and it's like almost euphoric, and they just can keep going and going and going and going, and they just feel wonderful. So that's what I suggest you do. All right? All right, so Lorraine has a question about the benefits of nutritional yeast, Karen. She wants to know, what are the benefits? Okay, and the benefits are you get natural B vitamins. Okay, these B vitamins are going to reduce your stress, and they act as cofactors, co-helper vitamins for all sorts of metabolic processes. So they prevent problems with protein digestion. They prevent from your mood going down. But mainly what I'll notice when people take nutritional yeast is they just have a stress relief. They feel like calm. If you drink coffee and you feel that jittery, take nutritional yeast. It just gets rid of it. If your spouse is irritating you, slip it in their coffee and they'll be really nice to you. So these are all just things that you can do. All right, good. All right, Karen, give me a question.
Okay, great. So we have someone from YouTube here says she loves your YouTube videos.
Thank you.
She has a 24-year-old son who's extremely, extremely, extremely thin. She says that ectomorph, very, very thin and cannot gain weight. Help.
Okay, so Karen said we have a caller, a mother who has a son that has very, very skinny. He can't gain weight. And that's probably a really important topic for most of you listening because you want to gain weight, right? Now, I have a video on this, and the problem is you want to gain muscle. You don't want to gain fat, right? So the more you do intermittent fasting, you're going to get lean. So if someone's younger and they want to gain weight, that's going to be a problem. I think we can actually make them healthier, and we might be able to make them more muscular and just overall bring them to their balance. But it's going to be kind of on a lean state, because if you want to fatten someone up, just go with the starches, go with potatoes and rice and beer, as a sumo wrestler would consume, and eat that multiple times through the day, but it comes with a package. The sumo wrestlers, they eat like very frequent meals, but they're so-called healthy. Well, they're not really healthy, they're just exercising so much, because when they stop exercising, they develop all sorts of health problems. They fall apart once they retire. So I'm gonna recommend that for your son, what he had 3 meals a day, no snacks, but just really increase the meals. So he's having large quantities of food and a lot of fat to prevent the loss, and then start getting him into an exercise program, and even involving weight training where you can start increasing more weight and develop the muscles. That's what I would do if I were you, but I wouldn't go for the starches. All right? All right, so let's see, Karen, what do we got coming down the pike
Okay,
here?
good. So we have Jessica on Facebook who's asking you to speak a little bit about pregnant women and keto IF.
All right, so we have another question on Facebook regarding pregnant women and intermittent fasting.
And keto.
And keto. Well, if you're pregnant, I'm going to recommend that you don't do any type of crazy intermittent fasting, and I would just recommend 3 meals, but I would recommend no snacks. And I would recommend taking the B vitamins or nutritional yeast and trace minerals, a plant-based trace mineral, because the trace minerals will prevent all sorts of problems in a kid, a growing fetus, and will eventually develop into a child. For example, if you're deficient in iodine, it can actually, you can have a smaller size brain, and it can even affect your child's IQ. So it's important to do the trace minerals or the sea kelp. The other thing is, if the child is low in manganese, they can end up with flat feet or even scoliosis. So there's a lot of importance in putting these basic nutrients in there, especially the fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K. And I would recommend, my daughter-in-law is pregnant, so we have her doing virgin cod liver oil, high-quality grass-fed butter, trace minerals, B vitamins, but not the synthetic petroleum-based vitamins that they give women prenatals, which is, I just don't like those at all. Where can someone buy nutritional yeast? You can get it at health food store or online. It's pretty readily. I have it in a tablet form. You can get it if you don't want to take it as a powder. Good questions, Karen.
Good. You ready for another?
I'm ready for another one.
Okay, good. So we have a gal on Facebook, and I apologize because I cannot pronounce this name, but she gets watery diarrhea after eating her vegetables.
All right.
And then no stool for about 3 days.
All right.
She's getting scared of vegetables. She's lost 95 pounds, but this has been happening for 3 months.
Okay, so we have another question about someone consumes vegetables and they get pretty severe diarrhea after that, and it's hard to even form stools after a period of time. So in this case, there's a couple things I'm going to recommend. Stop consuming those vegetables, and you may need to start doing small amounts of steamed vegetables. Consume vegetables that you've never eaten before, like different types, and see if that's a problem. And then the last thing you could try is fermented vegetables. If that still produces this diarrhea, then you're going to have to try get your nutrients from other sources, you know, whether it's going to be nuts or mushrooms or other vegetables, things like that, or proteins, because you don't want to keep doing that. Obviously, your body doesn't have the flora, and that's really what's missing. So you're going to have to build that back up. There's a certain probiotic that I'm going to recommend. It's called Effective Microbes. I'm not going to tell you what brand, but you can just look it up. Effective Microbes. It's called EM. It's a synergistic effect of all these, of like 400 different strains of microbes that really help grow all the strains of microbes. And you take some before you go to bed. All night long, it builds up in your gut, and now you can actually digest a lot better. Now, if you have diarrhea, there's a couple things you can do. Blackberry and some really high quality unsweetened plain yogurt or kefir. Normally I don't recommend that for keto, but in your case I would. Blend it up in a shake, drink that a few times during the day. Activated charcoal is another thing you can take for diarrhea as well. And it's gonna help absorb poisons and toxins. Okay, so we gotta talk to Mary now. Mary is on Facebook. I am the opposite. I have solid constipation. I eat my vegetables, drink my water. If I don't take meds, I don't go to the bathroom. So, okay, so now we have someone that gets constipation. Well, the same thing. Those fibers in the vegetables are not broken down by the microbes. So you need more microbes. I would consume steamed vegetables to make it easier to break down, and then a portion of that have fermented vegetables. Okay, so that would be a lot better than some of these raw if you constipate you, because you don't want to be constipated. All right, good. All right, Karen, what do we got?
Okay, we have a caller, Karen from Arizona.
Karen from Arizona is calling in.
Yes, her husband has dementia. He's on keto and IF.
Okay, her husband has dementia, on keto and IF.
Yeah, and she added benfotiamine, but how much should he be taking per day? The tablets are 300 milligrams.
She added benfotiamine. Benfotiamine is a synthetic but very healthy form of B1. It's a fat-soluble B vitamin that's really good for nerve and brain function and vision and preventing the damage from high sugar. So how much should he take? Well, I would recommend, if you have dementia, I would take 4 times the dosage. So whatever the dosage is, up it by 4 or even 5 times the dosage, because that way it'll flood the nervous system with exactly what he's going to need. The other thing that I would do is I would take the nutritional yeast with it to make sure you have all the B vitamins. But if it takes a little longer to kick in, that just means that you have a lot of degeneration going on, but it will tend to reverse damage on the nervous system and the brain. It's great for something called peripheral neuropathy, which is nerve damage on the bottom of the feet. Okay? Good question, though. All right, Karen, what do we got?
Okay, well, I'm reading a few different posts on YouTube.
Okay, we're on YouTube here.
Mm-hmm. And these questions are, I'm fasting for days.
Yeah.
I am doing keto diet, and I'm not losing weight. And the question is, maybe you should fast longer and longer, but aren't there other reasons why a body wouldn't be different on a scale?
Okay, so here's what someone wanted to know. They're basically fasting for days, doing keto, and they're not losing weight. Okay, what are you going to do in that situation? Well, if you're not eating and you're not losing weight, and then I'm guessing you're fasting, maybe it's not like completely 100% fasting, like 24 hours a day, because if you were, eventually you're going to lose weight when you stop eating. I promise you. But if you're fasting, let's say intermittent fasting, maybe that's what you're asking, intermittent fasting.
Haven't eaten since Tuesday.
Haven't eaten since Tuesday, you're not losing weight. Then I would find out, are you losing size? Is your waist going down? Are you constipated? I had one lady who came in, she drove her car from Michigan to my office a while ago, and she went once a month, okay?
To the bathroom.
To the bathroom. And she wasn't interested in handling that problem. She was interested in losing weight. I said, I'm sorry, you're full of it. Literally, you need to get rid of your constipation. So I went outside for lunch and I looked at her car and it was just lined with Cheetos and Oreo cookie wrappers and all sort, her back seat. I'm like, okay, so there's the problem right there. So the point is that if you're, let's say you're not constipated, then I would look at your sleep. Are you sleeping? Do you have stress? Do you have any other body problems that could be preventing this weight loss? These are things that you want to look at because if you don't eat, you will eventually lose weight because your body's in that mode.
Won't they also be building muscle?
Give it more time. Well, I don't know if you're going to be building that much muscle and gaining weight when you're not eating. So, because you need a certain amount of protein to prevent the atrophy of muscle. So, in your question, honestly, I'm going to say you're going to have to watch a lot of my videos and get my book to get all the details because there's probably more things that are going on than you're telling me at this point, and I can't really evaluate based on what you told me. All right? Good. Next question.
Okay, synthetic thyroid versus hormone versus desiccated for people that have undergone complete thyroidectomy.
Okay, so Karen had another question about someone wanted to know, they had their thyroid removed, and do they take synthetic hormones or can they take something called desiccated thyroid, which most of the desiccated thyroid compounds don't have hormones in them. They remove the hormones. However, there are some extracts that do have hormones, natural hormones. Doctors don't like to use them because it's hard to regulate the thyroid hormones because of the dosage. They like the synthetic Synthroid so they can really keep things standard. And I understand that, but what I'm gonna recommend is if you have the thyroid removed, you're gonna have to take hormones. There's no other way because there's no other part of your body that makes those hormones. So I kind of like Armour thyroid if you can find it. Find a doctor that will regulate that and do that because Synthroid, you know, it's like T4 and your body has to convert it. There's no T3 and also it's synthetic. I mean, there's a lot of people that are happy with that, but there's the point I want to bring up about this, Karen, is so many people are taking thyroid medication, but they're not losing weight. They're not seeing change. So there's something else going on, and it could be the conversion from T4 to T3, in which case the liver and the gallbladder needs to be supported with bile salts. So yeah, that's just another point that you might want to watch my videos on that. All right, good.
Okay, I have another one.
You have another question, Karen. Go ahead.
I do. It's a caller, Cheryl from California.
Cheryl from California is calling in.
Yes, she was drinking V8 low sodium, which caused a lot of gastric distress.
Okay, she was drinking V8 with no sodium, created a lot of digestive problems.
Loves the electrolyte powder and is asking how much is needed. Do you really need 4,500 a day if she's taking 1,000?
Okay, she wants to know, she's taking my electrolyte powder and she wants to know, do we really need 4,700 milligrams of potassium a day?
Right, so she's taking about 1,000 in the electrolytes. She gets about 2,600 from food.
She's getting about 2,600 from the food, 1,000 from the powder.
Should she worry about magnesium toxicity from all the supplements plus food?
Should she worry about the magnesium deficiency or toxicity? Well, here's the thing. If you don't have to, for my electrolytes, you don't have to worry about magnesium deficiency because toxicity because we're not giving you more than the recommended amount that you need. Nor will you have to worry about potassium excess because it's 1/4 of what you need. So the combination of the electrolyte powder and vegetables are going to be just fine, unless you're taking some additional magnesium, which you can probably get away with taking more and not have any symptoms. But because it's really hard to become toxic with magnesium. What happens when you increase magnesium is you can start depleting your calcium because they work together. And that's why I like to always take a blend of a lot of minerals. But here's the thing with that. When you actually reduce the frequency of eating and you eat less frequent, guess what? That requirement of 4,700 goes down maybe to 3,000 because your body is in this conservation mode and it doesn't need the large amounts. Also, you fix insulin resistance, so you really absorb a lot more than if you had insulin problems. So I think you're going to be fine. If the people that need a lot of potassium, even more than what I'm recommending, are the cases that have rheumatoid arthritis, or they have heart palpitations really bad, or they have atrial fibrillation where it's a really strong deficiency of this potassium. And then you just need a lot. So again, do the best you can. Something is better than nothing, right, Karen?
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, good.
All right.
So Heather on Facebook is asking, is it normal to have kidney pain a week into keto and IF?
Okay, so someone want to know, is it normal to have kidney pain a week into IF? Well, I would really like to know where the pain is, because that so-called kidney pain could be gallbladder pain. But let's say, is it normal? No, it's not normal. So you could be consuming too much fat, and that could be gallbladder, or it could be that you're not consuming enough lemon juice. So I would recommend start increasing the lemon juice, okay? Because that's going to counter any potential for oxalate stone irritation in your kidneys, if that's the case. Keep your vegetables high, but maybe not consume any spinach right now, because spinach has the highest oxalates, and that could, in people that are predisposed to getting kidney stones, create a problem. But if you're doing a lot of lemon juice and you do potassium citrate, it's in my electrolyte powder, but if you do potassium citrate, that will also lower uric acid stones and counter the oxalate stones. So you got a lot to look at there, and I would watch my videos more on that, but that's the quick answer.
Cool.
All right, and I'm staying to it.
Okay, good. So we have Susan on Facebook.
Susan on Facebook has a question.
Yes, she does her fasting for 15 hours.
Does the fasting for 15 hours.
Yes, and when she breaks the fast, it doesn't matter what she eats. She feels extremely sleepy. She is taking gallbladder and the insulin glucose, or the blood sugar support, but it isn't helping.
Okay, so what happens when she breaks the fast and she starts eating, she gets incredibly sleepy. And she's already taking several of my supplements, like blood sugar formula. So this tells me two things. Well, one of two things. One is that either her stomach needs more acid, in which case apple cider vinegar will wake her up, because if the food is not fully broken down with hydrochloric acid, then it'll literally, this undigested protein will just like put you out. That's one case. Or the other situation is that you're still in that transition phase where you have high insulin and insulin resistance, in which case that you're going to have to go longer with your fasting, okay? Go longer with your fasting. Make sure that your protein is not too high, because that can put you out. Make sure the carbs are low, and then just give it more time, okay?
Okay, great. So we have on YouTube, we have Rahia on this.
Rahia's on YouTube.
Yeah, and this subject comes up a lot. What do you think about not drinking any water during the fasting? This idea of a dry fasting.
Okay, so she asked about dry fasting, not drinking any water. Another good question, this comes up a lot, dry fasting. I can just see this. You're telling your friends, oh yeah, go see Dr. Berg. He's gonna tell you not to eat a lot of fat, and you're not gonna drink any water. Oh yeah, I'm gonna jump on that. That sounds like a great plan, right? It's a bit extreme. There is some data that shows that it actually can help people, but I'm mixed on it, because the average person that goes on a dry fast that doesn't drink water is probably already low in minerals. And so now what happens is we're getting a nutritional deficiency symptom problem if you go too long without water, because you need water to kind of hydrate and actually mix with the minerals, especially if you're peeing them out, okay? Because even when you're fasting, it's going to be hard to go 24 hours without peeing. So you're peeing all this liquid out. You have less fluid in the body. You're not drinking any fluid in. You're not taking electrolytes, and you're already deficient. A perfect combination to pass out or faint. So But if you're healthy and you're doing this for a while and you have a lot of minerals already in your body, well, go ahead and try it. But as far as my recommendation for the average person, I'm not going to tell you to do it. There's a lot of things out there that you're going to see that people want to know. Is this going to help you? Like taking a cold shower, for example, will stimulate your metabolism. Well, try to get the general population to take cold showers. It's like very painful. But I will say that when you put your body in a stress mode, whether it's high intense exercise, starting keto without or in cutting off sugars or going long periods without eating or all this stuff, your body does respond by adapting to the stress and in a positive way. So there's something to it, but I don't think that you need to go to that extreme. That's just my opinion. How do you like that answer, Karen?
I like it. I would tell people not to do it, but you're the doctor.
All right.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I'm the doctor's wife.
The doctor's wife, yeah.
Right. Okay, so we have Farah from Illinois is calling in.
Farah from Illinois is calling in.
Mm-hmm. She just started keto and IF on Monday.
Okay, started on Monday.
Everything was great for 2 days.
Everything was great for 2 days.
She woke up on Wednesday, could hardly move.
And she woke up on Wednesday, could hardly move.
No food sounds good anymore. Can she push past this?
Okay, I need a little more data. Like when she says she can't move, is it because her joints are sore or she's tired or what?
I don't have that.
Like, is it stiffness? Because...
Well, why don't you just address the aversion to food?
Like not hungry?
She also has... Yeah, she says she can, no food sounds good anymore after just 2 days.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think when some people, everyone reacts differently. And that's why I recommend you jump it and just try it because some people take longer to adapt. Some people adapt pretty fast where they're in fat burning and they're like, wow, I have no interest in food whatsoever. I don't need to eat. I'm fine. I feel fine. If you feel fine and you don't have the need to eat, realize you are eating. You are eating your own fat. And that's a fuel source that's very similar to food. And there are stored nutrients in the fat, like specifically fat-soluble vitamins. So maybe what you would do is ride the wave, because I don't want you to eat and feel sick. So go ahead and just keep going to the point where you get hungry, but make sure you take nutrients, okay? Vitamins, minerals, things like that. That way, because that's the purpose of eating, Karen, is to get your nutrition. So if you actually get your nutrition without the calories, but you're getting the calories from the fat burning, I think you might be okay. In fact, I think for some people, there's a guy that fasted for over a year. Not long after a year, but roughly about a year.
Didn't eat for a year.
Didn't eat for a year.
I don't believe it.
And he took vitamins and he took nutrients. And he lost close to over 200 pounds. It might have been
But he drank
more.
water.
Yeah. Yeah, but he didn't eat any food. So this idea that you guys are going to turn into a skeleton I think it's overrated. I think we could go for a long period of time. Think about in the caveman times, how long would someone go without eating? Would it be more than 24 hours?
Yeah, but look at those guys on Naked and Afraid.
Look at the guys on Naked and Afraid.
No,
Karen, that's a great point. Okay.
They lose weight really, really
They
fast.
lose weight incredibly
In 21 days,
fast.
it's
And
30.
they're eating a couple insects and maybe a fish here and there, but they're not eating. So
But they couldn't go a year.
no, because they're thin. I'm talking about a really large person. They can't go, they can go for a long period of time if you have the reserve. But the key, Karen, is to take the nutrition, okay? Your vitamins and minerals. That's what I would recommend. Hey, someone had a question about cruciferous. Will that break the fast? Oh, no, that's not the question. Will cruciferous count towards your carbs? No, none of the vegetables will count towards the carbs. So don't count those in your net carbs or any carbs, okay? Just keep eating them and don't even factor them into the equation other than eat a lot of them.
Okay.
All right, Karen, what do we got?
Okay, so there's someone on YouTube, it's scrolled past, but wondering if there's an age where gallbladder issues are unusual. So, I mean, I don't know. Gallbladder issues aren't normal at any age.
Okay, so someone had a question.
Is there an age where it's just highly unusual?
So there's a lot of questions out there that are very personal and might not be common. Someone want to know, is there an age that gallbladder symptoms would not be expected?
Right, maybe a child or they don't
No,
say.
actually, you can have gallbladder problems at any age, actually. Okay, any age.
Okay, good.
And that brings up another question, Karen. And
Yes.
this question has to do with the function of the appendix, okay? Now, it has nothing to do with the gallbladder, but since they're both little organs that are removed, quite common because they don't have a purpose, I want to bring it up, Karen. So appendix. Do you know what the appendix does, Karen?
It's a lubricant.
It's a lubricant. Okay.
And it's, if you listen to medicine, it's not for anything.
Okay, so good. So I tell you what, this is our first question of the day, probably our only question of the day. I want you guys to see if you can tell me what the what the appendix does.
No Googling.
Okay, no Googling. Just see go ahead and type it in there, and then Karen, you're going to tell me what they find,
Okay.
what they say.
Okay.
So we got, what is the appendix? Does it have a purpose or not, and what does it do? Okay?
A reserve. Oh,
Well, don't tell me yet, Karen.
okay.
All right, while you're answering that, we're going to continue on here.
Here's Kim on Facebook. Can type 1 diabetic do keto?
Okay, so Kim asked a question on Facebook. Can type 1 diabetics do keto? Now, I just want to say something, guys. I have 3,000 videos, and almost every question that everyone always asks is on there. So you can also type Dr. Berg, and does diabetes type 1, do they need to do keto? Because they do need to do keto. In fact, it's the only diet they should do. There is no other diet. Because think about it. Diabetes type 1 means that your pancreas is no longer producing insulin, okay? So that means your sugar is going to go screaming high. So the more carb you eat, the more insulin you're going to have to take. The more times you eat, the more insulin that you're going to have to take. And when you take more insulin, that actually creates more damage than the high sugar. So if you're diabetic type 1, we want to take the minimum amount of insulin possible. And so we want to not stimulate, or actually we don't want to release hardly any sugar into the system if possible. So we can take the least amount of insulin. That's what we want to do. And you'll be much healthier. In fact, I believe, and this is just my opinion, Karen, that a lot of the damage from type 1 has to do with the amount of insulin they're taking, more than the blood sugars. Now, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but probably not. No. But I would definitely take a lot of nutritional yeast to prevent the damage also from the high sugar. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Someone had a question about Lipitor in relationship to liver damage. Lipitor is a statin, and statins block cholesterol. We need cholesterol in the body to make hormones, sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone. So when you starve the body of cholesterol, because the body makes it and it needs it, what will happen is that you'll starve off testosterone if you're a guy and have those symptoms, but then you'll have a lot of muscle problems. You need testosterone to build muscle. So then what will happen is you will have muscle pain, muscle loss, muscle damage. So yeah, I do not like the cholesterol medication at all. But I'm not a medical doctor, and I can't tell you not to take it. But what I can say is do some research. Okay, do some research and then decide for yourself. All right, now Karen, I want to know, what are we getting as far as answers about my question? What's the function of that little appendix guy?
You're getting very little. Oh, here, appendices are autoimmune support organs at the end of the large intestine. Someone said appendix helps digest stuff that's hard to digest. Appendix may be a good place for good bacteria to hang out.
Okay, hold on, Karen. So no one could hear you. No one could hear you. So I have to repeat.
No, can you hear me?
No. So because I'm over here. So we're getting a lot of random things, so I'm just going to tell you what it is. And we have a drum roll here. Okay, so here's the answer. Here's the answer. It is there to act as a reservoir for friendly bacteria in case you need to repopulate the large intestine with good bacteria after diarrhea or antibiotics. So it's there as a backup if you need to release a lot of good bacteria. It also is lymph tissue, which also is related to developing antibodies, because you have the entire gut, Karen, it's an immune organ. It's like your first line of defense against microbes. So there's lymphatic tissue, and it does have something to do with immunity, okay?
Okay, so I want you to read the comments.
I can't hear Karen.
I can.
Oh, I can.
They can hear me just fine.
Oh,
Woo, woo.
what? Okay, wow.
Thank you, people.
This is good. This is gonna save me repeating. Here I'm repeating every question, and I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. All right, okay, thank you. All right, so my daughter has PCOS. This is from Denise Terra. Just started keto. Will that eventually help with, boy, just kind of, you lose it here. Okay, will it help with excessive hair already there, or just prevent it? Okay, so if you have PCOS, you need to do keto and intermittent fasting. It's gonna lower insulin, which is then it's gonna lower androgens, and it's gonna reverse. It's gonna, all the symptoms from high androgen will improve. So yes, you'll see some huge changes, and insulin resistance and high insulin is not associated with PCOS. It causes it. Make note. All right, Karen, what do we got?
Okay, so I have Robert on YouTube, and he says he has really high blood pressure, and what is this looks like a typo, but some kind of natural substance he can take, or what should he do?
Oh, this is the no-brainer. So if you have, I finally have an easy answer that I can easily answer with confidence. Blood pressure. And I'm going to answer it by telling you a quick, short little story of a guy who just sent me this success story saying, I started taking potassium, I think it was citrate. He was taking it. Blood pressure went way down, like within 2 days, goes to the doctor, or he's going to go to the doctor, and he's like, to ask the doctor, why didn't you recommend this? Because high potassium relaxes the blood vessels. It's a physiological relaxer for the blood vessels. It helps elasticity. It brings the pressure down. It improves insulin resistance, which then will lower insulin, which is behind the high blood pressure, because high levels of insulin trigger the flight or fight mechanism, and also they cause sodium retention. So very, very important, potassium, potassium, potassium to lower blood pressure. And then of course, keto and intermittent fasting. But that should do it, and you want to take a little higher amounts. Okay?
15 minutes extra, Doc?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what do we got, Karen?
Okay, so here's one person, Karen, on Facebook, is admitting she is not on keto, but this is her scene. She has internal electric tremor shaking that you can't see externally. She's had it for about 2 years. She is not on keto. She is Hashimoto's hypothyroid. And she says, is keto good for thyroid? It appears to make me more hypothyroid, lower, although she says she's not on it. So I'm not totally clear on that, but take it away.
All right, so we're getting a lot of, or some questions that require a lot more in-depth answers. So I'm going to kind of give you the thumbnail sketch, because I could talk like a half hour about this, because it's like more in-depth. It's a huge problem. But there's a couple of things. When you have these tremors that are, you can see them or you just feel them, you absolutely, positively need to do keto and intermittent fasting hardcore. The reason for that is because you're going to regrow the nervous system. Because it's a neurological problem. You're going to regrow nerve cells and brain tissue, which is going to greatly help any neurological problem, including the tremor situation, which is usually coming from the brain. The other thing you need large quantities of is the B vitamins. You need to do a lot of like nutritional yeast. You can get them as tablets. But don't forget to, when you do keto, make sure it's high quality food. You know, don't just try to do it for like with low quality stuff, because to build nerve tissue, it's a whole package. So that's what I would do, and I think that would help you greatly. Okay.
Who, me?
Yep.
Okay. There's Kalpna Kapoor on YouTube. Her daughter has minor thalassemia. Will intermittent fasting help?
Yeah,
what is that thalassemia?
It's a condition with the blood and the immune system, and what you have to do with the blood cells, and that you need to do intermittent fasting for sure. And I'm going to tell you what's more important. It's intermittent fasting that's way more important, because the intermittent fasting is the thing that will build up your immune system. It builds up the immune system to the point where a lot of problems go away that you might not even think is connected, including autoimmune, weird symptoms that you didn't know were connected, because you're actually putting the body into a state of autophagy, which it's recycling old damaged parts and cleaning up microbes. So that's the most important thing that I would do as a quick answer. The next question has to do with high pulse rate. I have a high pulse rate. What is that? That is either you have low potassium or low B1. So make sure you're including foods that have that, and the pulse rate should come down. Okay? All right.
Okay, so we have Famira, I just lost it, here, from Belgium. Has a number of things going on, but basically struggling with indigestion for 4 years, thinks she has a parasite. She eats 70% raw. She has candida she can't get rid of. She has H. pylori histamine reaction. She's losing weight but wants to gain weight. And she's describing strong digestive enzymes help, but she has to keep increasing the dose.
All right, and I think you guys heard this, so I just want to tell you, for this condition, I would go after, first of all, acidifying the stomach. The purpose of the acid in the stomach, one of the big purposes, is to kill parasites and microbes and viruses that are coming in through the food. Like if you eat sushi, raw meats or fish, and they're usually loaded with microbes, just FYI, I'm sorry to tell you that. But your stomach should kill it, just like our dog. Our dog can drink out of the stream and not have any problem, because Charlie's stomach is so acidic, it kills off everything. So if your pH is too alkaline, you allow these microbes to go in. Your stomach pH is too alkaline. You allow the microbes to live and survive and innervate the lower part of the system. And that's how you start getting all sorts of parasites and things. In the stomach, the H. pylori microbe lives in an alkaline stomach. In fact, one of the mechanisms is it makes your stomach more alkaline. So just by keeping it acid, you can keep it in remission or get rid of it, because a lot of people have H. pylori. It's just in an inactive state. It becomes active when your body becomes alkaline. So I would acidify that, and then by eating poorly and losing the stomach acids over time.
No, how would you acidify it?
Well, that's
because she's taking a lot
if
of
I knew that,
digestive
would I be
enzymes.
sitting right here right now? Now, you apple cider vinegar, you take betaine hydrochloride, and you need potassium to build the stomach acids, Karen. You need potassium from vegetables, because the little pump that secretes hydrochloric acid in your stomach is a potassium pump. The worst thing you could possibly do is to consume a proton inhibitor, like a anti-acid medication, because that's just going to take you from bad to worse. So I'm just a side note. Also, the other thing that it'll do is antibiotics will screw up your pH as well. But yeah, you need to acidify and then take like garlic and oregano to kill off the microbes that are in there. Black walnut hulls are good for parasites if you have them, and clove. Okay? All right.
Okay,
Good questions.
Yeah.
All right, so one question someone wanted to know, what do you do for chronic lung infections or lung congestion? Let's say you have asthma or some chronic congested lung. There's something that works really good for this, okay? It's called cordyceps. Cordyceps, it's actually it's a fungus that is in Tibet in the high mountain range. And this fungus has a unique property of invading the central nervous system and the brain of the insects to survive, and it starts spreading. Well, the Chinese have been using this cordyceps forever, for thousands of years, and what it does is it increases your oxygen carrying capacity of the lung, and it's great for long distance runners, performance, helping people overcome things like emphysema, asthma, and it's good for vitality, and it's really good for adrenal fatigue and adrenal burnout, okay? It's called cordyceps. It's a fungus, and you can do some research on that. All right, another question is, can I continue keto with no appendix or no gallbladder? Wow. Okay, so yes, you just need to take a little purified bile salts, and you want to continue it because it's the thing that's going to help you greatly. Can I take K2 without D3? Yes, but D3 actually helps work with K2. So what might be good, you can take K2 with and just get sun, and that would be great. I think that'll be fine. All right, Karen?
Yeah.
All right. What other question do we have?
I'm sorry, this is...
Do we have a quick question? If not, I can find one.
Go ahead.
All right. How does keto help people with seizures in a major way? Epilepsy, seizures are purely a blood sugar problem. You switch to running ketones and the seizures go away. Just got to do it healthily. All right. Good to hear Karen's interactions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any help with nausea and morning sickness? Yes. That usually is the gallbladder problem, because what's happening is that there's a change in hormones, and there's also pressure on the gallbladder, and there's not a lot of space in there. So I would recommend consuming beet tops to help thin the bile. Radishes are really, really good to thin the bile. Make sure you cut down your fats a little bit. And if the gallbladder can flow normally, the nauseousness should go away, in theory.
In theory.
So go ahead and try that.
Okay, so Natalie...
One more thing.
Okay.
You can also try activated charcoal for nauseousness. That tends to work too, if you needed something. Go ahead, Karen.
And that's your final answer?
That's my final, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, good. So on YouTube, Natalie is asking, why does she always wake up with a really fast heartbeat?
Oh, I already answered that, Karen.
Today?
You weren't listening? Yeah.
Today?
High pulse rate. Yeah.
Oh, pulse rate, heart rate.
Same thing.
Okay, Natalie.
Yeah.
I hope you were paying attention.
Yeah, potassium and B1. Potassium and B1 is the answer for that. And see, you wouldn't have to worry about it if you consumed enough vegetables.
Mm.
All right. Good questions, guys.
Okay, what about, Ed wants to know, what about the red rice yeast for lowering cholesterol? I can talk.
The red
Rice.
yeast, red rice, it's red yeast.
Red
yeast.
Red rice yeast, which is, it is hard to say.
Right, exactly.
You try it.
Okay, so yes, it is really good for cholesterol. In fact, in some studies, it works even better than some of the statins down there. You just probably don't want to take it together with the statin, but the point is, if you want to lower cholesterol, I think I would recommend red rice yeast. if you had a genetic problem with cholesterol, okay? But if you do keto and intermittent fasting, you're not gonna need that at all. In fact, that's why I took it out of my one of my products, K2 and D3, and I put in there some purified bile salts, which is really cool because one of the problems with people digesting fat-soluble vitamins is they don't have enough gallbladder health in the bile. So I put some purified bile salts, so when you take it, it goes in like a rocket ship. It's the D3 and K2. So that's the recent change that I made. Okay, so your skin is a protein. Vegetables are protein. Your body can create protein. Do you need much dietary protein? Well, here's the thing. If you don't consume enough protein, if you're protein deficient, your body will start going after your own muscle proteins. That's what it'll do. And that's the problem. There's not a lot of protein. There's not a complete protein amino acid profile in salad. There is a lot of protein complete in the full egg, in different meats and fish, and things like that. And also you can get some great protein from spirulina, but not necessarily from vegetables. So if you don't consume enough amino acids over, like for 4 days, if you don't consume enough amino acids, your body will start robbing your own muscle. And that's one of the problems that people end up with, like muscle loss. But on the other hand, convert it into sugar and into fat. So make note of that, Karen.
I made a note.
Okay, good.
And there's a caller who asks regarding keto and IF, there's the understanding that the body isn't burning fat after a long fast. So their idea is the body isn't burning fat if you're fasting for more than 22 hours. Is it burning muscle for fuel?
Okay, so after you do extended fast, will your body then start going after the muscle? It's going to take 3 to 4 days before it starts going after your muscle, because what will happen is the body will go into a very conservative mode where growth hormone spikes in a major way, and growth hormone is highly protective against your muscle protein. So intermittent fasting, it will spike growth hormone by 2,000% in men and 1,300% in women. And on top of that, when you do autophagy, the body will start recycling more protein, so the need goes way down. So I don't think you're going to lose muscle if you do it for like even a couple days, but when you get into 3 or 4 days, probably you're going to start losing some muscle.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So there's a little conversation on Facebook about beans and protein, that beans are good protein. And
yeah, I'm not going to debate that at this point. I think just do your own research. If you find that if it works for you, that gives you enough protein, you're happy with it, go for it. But beans,
it's not keto.
well, the problem is the beans tend to be high in carbs, so we want to have lower carbs. Am I saying that if you eat a small amount of beans, is that going to bump you out? It really depends on your total carb. So, you know, think with the information, make your own judgments on that, and see if it can help you. I wanted a question about, can I do intermittent fasting with my regular diet? Well, yeah, you can do it, but just don't expect the great results that we're talking about, because first of all, when you're consuming the regular diet, that means you're doing some sugars and carbs, right? So what'll happen, it's going to be hard for you to get into ketosis. Yes, you're not going to be eating, and you're probably going to get into ketosis to some degree, but think about what ketosis is. It's the reduction of carbs to the point where your body is forced to burn ketones. So if you're feeding it carbs, you might never get into a state of ketosis where you see all the benefits. So I recommend do both, but you know, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, fair enough.
Okay.
Hey, what if you're allergic to yeast? Where could you get your B vitamins?
There are, the next best source would be sunflower seeds.
Mm.
Yeah, sunflower seeds. And
I eat a lot of sunflower seeds.
I noticed that. That's good.
just need a little validation now and then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You guys have a lot of questions.
Awkward silence. Yeah.
Does toothpaste break your fast?
We get that question.
No, it won't break your fast unless you're swallowing your toothpaste in large quantities. I wouldn't worry about it. No. Now, also, this aligns with another question. Will putting like facial creams in your face break your fast? No, it won't.
Why don't you tell them what you did to me the other day?
Well, I'm going to do a video about it, so I'm going to surprise them. But Karen is my guinea pig. She's a good sport. She always lets me do with whether it's supplements. She'll just like grab a handful, take it, and not even ask me like, what was that? And then recently we did a facial mask with, there's all these coffee ground extracts that you're rubbing on your face with these facial, which really helps your skin. I said, well, wait a second. Let's do a green coffee extract, Karen. You can either grind the coffee beans green, or we can buy the powder.
He means me.
And then what we could do is we can rub it on your face and see what happens. And it really produces a nice complexion. I was amazed because you get all these phytonutrients, you get the caffeine in there on the face. It's not going to absorb in the skin. So I will be sending a video out on that because it's I think it's better than the ground stuff. But you do have to wash it off at least once a day.
Oh, boy.
What are your daily must-haves? Okay, so, well, as far as eating goes, I like my eggs. I like salad, huge amounts of salad. I like olive oil, high quality, from Italy, virgin, extra virgin olive oil. It's really good.
I think it is extra virgin.
Yes, it is.
That's the difference, isn't
No,
it?
it is, yeah. It actually just tastes better, and it's a lot better.
It's amazing.
As far as supplements go, the must-haves are the electrolytes and the nutritional yeast. Those two are the key with that. All right, let's see. Do gym work to double boost growth hormone and holistic repair? Well, yeah, if you do intermittent fasting when you work out and you do a full body workout, you're gonna, on top of intermittent fasting, oh my gosh, if you combine the ultimate workout, which is sprinting, will release 770% of your growth hormone with intermittent fasting and drop your carbs all at the same time, and you get a good night rest, you'll probably be looking about 20 years younger very soon because it's a great anti-aging thing. So
Here I go.
here we go. Oh, Karen's gone, guys. She's sprinting down the street. Okay, so you had another question, Karen.
Yes, I got several questions on Facebook about hair loss. I know you addressed alopecia, but regular hair loss on keto still happening.
Well, it's usually a B vitamin deficiency, and if you take a look at, for example, the #1 remedy for hair is biotin. It's the B vitamin. So it's when you actually do keto and intermittent fasting, your cells utilize more B vitamins. So if you're deficient going into it, you could actually suck out that last bit and end up with hair loss. So you need nutritional yeast, okay? Nutritional yeast to prevent hair loss. If that doesn't work, then what you want to do is you want to do the trace minerals, okay? There's a great hair product that I have. It's called Hair Formula that has nutritional yeast. It has the B vitamins. It has the trace minerals, and it has a type of collagen that actually feeds the hair. It's pretty powerful, has a lot of great reviews, so you could try that as well. Listen, guys, I want to thank you so much for coping with this temporary patch-up thing we did. We seem to make it work. So we will be back next week with a fixed machine, right, Steve?
Photobomb!
Absolutely.
Photobomb!
Hey, come on now. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.